I was in my room, humming to the latest Harry Styles song and preparing gifts for my new classmates. Balenciaga? Nope. Too cheap. Gucci? Louis Vuitton? Before I could make a decision, my dad barged in.
Sally, why did you give money to that scammer?
He's poor, Daddy.
And?
Okay. He said his mom wrote Baby Shark, and you know I like that song. Dad was always nagging me, but she did write the song, right? Anyway, I'm Sally Mayers, the youngest daughter of Frederick Mayers, the CEO of the super successful agency Modeling Sync. I suppose you'll say my life was extravagant, but hey, sharing with others isn't extravagant. Daddy says I should stop worrying about handbags and intern at his company. But how will a hot young thing like me slave away in a boring job, huh? So I moved out and was on the search for my calling in life and my Prince Charming. One day, I was out shopping when, bump, our eyes met, and I didn't know if it's because of the fall or not, but I felt dizzy seeing his angel face. Then suddenly, he leaned toward me and stole my first kiss.
Sorry about that. I haven't paid my rent, so I couldn't let my landlord see me.
And kids, that's how I met your father. Not yet, but soon to be anyway. A cute guy falling in my arms had to be fate, so I invited him to live in my house while he earned enough to pay his rent. His name's Robert, and he's handsome, a great cook, and he adores animals. He's practically perfect. Except for his mood swings. Sometimes before going out, he'd be making me my favorite oat milk lattes and checking I'm okay. But when returning home, he'd just slump on the couch and order me to make him sandwiches. But hey, even soulmates had the occasional hiccup. I told Daddy and my sister, Mia, how perfect he was, but they were both so negative.
Destined lover or a gold digger?
If this boyfriend of yours is so perfect, then where is he? And, actually, they didn't see Robert's face yet. It's just he got camera fright. I desperately wanted to take some couples pictures, but he dodged every time.
Babes, this face is only for you.
Aw, he was so sweet and super caring. Despite Dad and Mia's disapproval, he still attentively asked about their hobbies and work. He was just perfect. There was nothing to ask more from him. Actually, there was. Come here. Just a secret between you and me. I think Robert's gonna propose to me. These days, he seems fidgeting and nervous. Then one day, Robert asked me to meet him in this expensive restaurant. I was sure this would be it. Gosh, I've dreamt of a wedding with my Prince Charming all my life. Yes, I'd like to be Mrs. Hemmings. Look, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a train ticket.
Sally, my dad's just passed away. I need to go back to my hometown for a while.
Then he got up and never came back. I searched everywhere for him, but it was as if he'd vanished into thin air. I knew he was grieving, but he didn't have to disappear like that. I traveled to his hometown, but everyone all said that Robert Hemmings had died years ago. So, who was my Robert? Did I really know anything about my soulmate? Could Daddy be right about Robert being a gold digger?
Enough of your silliness, Sally. It's time to grow up.
I couldn't go against Dad anymore. I had to go back home and work at the agency. At least I had Mia here. But no, I barely ever saw her. She was really too busy being head of the marketing department to come see me. I felt so lost and wasn't enjoying the job at all. Worst of all, I was still missing Robert so badly that I kept making silly mistakes. Everyone was so mad at me. If only Robert was here, he'd cheer me up. One day, Mia asked me to deliver some outfits for a photo shoot. I arrived to see the shoot was already underway.
Snap that camera, darling, while I'm still young.
Boy, oh boy, that dude was sure full of himself. My curiosity poked out and I tried to sneak a peek at him, but when I saw who one of the models was, I dropped the clothes in shock. OMG! It was Robert! I charged through the group of people and wrapped my arms around him. Robert! Where have you been? I've been looking for you everywhere! But he pushed me away.
Get off me! Who are you? Why are you all over me like a rash? I don't know you.
What? But I'm your girlfriend.
Hey, you wish. Line up first.
Easy there, Tiger. This is Henry, our hottest new model. Henry who? I had no idea what was going on, so I pulled Mia outside. Mia, he looks identical to Robert.
Not every guy is your ungrateful ex.
It's not uncommon for people to look similar. Your infatuation for Robert is making you imagine things. That might be true. She talked with me for a while, then put me in charge of the shoot for her. But I couldn't brush off Robert's image on that Henry guy. Then overheard some whisperings.
Henry might be a newbie, but in the last month, he's had 3 major magazine shoots. Rumor has it, it's down to a secret backer.
Something didn't feel right here. So I decided to dive in deeper to solve the mystery of Robert or not Robert. And I easily became Henry's assistant. Early the next morning, I dressed and eagerly ran to Henry's house. Robert usually slept in, so if Henry was Robert, surely he wouldn't have
We're late!
Huh? Oh, surprise! We're not late, as I changed today's schedule into a charity activity. Then, not letting him have any chance to question, I immediately dragged him to the car. Last night when the sponsor called, I nodded without any hesitation. Just imagine those shiny cheekbones on a soup kitchen flyer for the art and for the community. Only when we arrived at the location, there was just a field full of cows and not a soup can in sight.
Did you donate grass to the cows? Still so gullible.
How do you know I'm gullible?
The staff told me. What gives?
Then Henry walked, leaving me there with the cows. But wait a minute. Those moves had a little too much sachet. Was Robert that feminine before? So how about some of my homemade cake Robert always wolfed down? This is Robert's fave dish, right, Robert? He started coughing and mumbled out that he was so hungry, he would have eaten anything. Sure, Hen. So, let's see what excuses you would make in the cooking show, chef. Your excellent cooking skill is going to give you away, dear Robert. Keep up the great act, then. But my smile faded when I saw Henry breaking the pasta in half, mistaking tomato sauce for hot sauce, and setting a pan on fire, causing everyone to run outside in fright. I sure had to do a lot of apologizing to the producers to get out of that one. I didn't understand why my plan went so wrong. Okay, Robert loved animals. No way he could resist an adorable puppy, so I bought my new dachshund, Cora, into work. But to my surprise, when Cora hurried over to greet him, he's screaming like a banshee and ran along the hallway like being chased by zombies. Is it possible? I might have figured out the truth, but I still wanted to meet him the last time to sort things out. But when he showed up, he seemed different, easygoing and thoughtful, and so Robert.
Since when did you take up this dangerous sport? When your ex left? Are you that mad at him?
I kept missing, and it was so frustrating. It's like I couldn't get anything right.
Come now. Your palms have turned all red.
You're so weird today.
Weird how?
Wouldn't you normally be like this? Or like this? Drop the act. I already know everything.
Know what?
You and my dad are dating, aren't you? You want to be my stepmother in your dreams. I was nuts to think you're my Robert.
What? I don't like your dad?
I didn't want any more of his lies. Only he pulled me back and kissed me. I was still trying to process all of this when he received a call, then ran away, leaving me all alone, like that time. There was no mistaking those lips. He's my Robert. But why did he keep denying it? I needed advice from Mia, but she wasn't home, so I waited in the living room. After a while, the door opened, and I also heard Henry's voice. Why was he here? I immediately hid in the corner, only to see my sister kiss him on the cheek. Henry, my sweet boyfriend. Boyfriend? What? So Dad wasn't Henry's secret backer? It was Mia. But he just kissed me. Was he two-timing me with my own sister? That night, so many thoughts were pecking at my head. So my sister dated my boyfriend? When did they meet? Wait, was that why Robert never wanted to take pictures with me? 'Cause it's more convenient for him to approach Mia? Had he planned everything from the beginning? This hurt so much, but I didn't want to upset Mia. I needed to find out the full details before telling her anything. So at work, I pretended to act normal while cooking up a plan for Henry's upcoming birthday. I knew he was going to brush it off, but I invited all the staff to his place, and of course, he couldn't run anywhere. And his manager, aka me, just accidentally spilled water on him so he'd take his vest off. As predicted, his room key was in his pocket. I went to Henry's room and swiped the card, but it required a password. I had 3 attempts to get this right. I tried Robert's birthday, then mine, but nope. I had one last chance. So, with a shaking hand, I pressed in our anniversary date, and it opened. I rummaged through everything and found a lot of documents about modeling sync. Then I found something else, a photo of him with him? Right at this moment, someone grabbed my shoulder. I turned and saw Robert, but before I could talk, he flashed me his police badge and arrested me for breaking in. He led me into a dark room, and I heard talking outside. How dumb of you to use your anniversary as the password. Then Robert barged into the room, followed by another Robert?
The truth's out anyway. That's the Robert you're looking for, and his real name is Travis, and I'm Edward, not Henry. We're undercover cops investigating your father.
Turned out, Travis was asked to approach me as Robert first, and his brother Edward sometimes filled his place when he was busy. That's why Robert's temperament was so hot and cold.
But we couldn't anticipate that this kid would actually like you. Love is strictly forbidden in our job, so Robert had to go. So I created Henry and approached the suspect's other daughter to continue the mission. That was the plan until my simp brother went to see you without telling me.
So, the one who kissed me was...
It was me. I just really wanted to see you.
This is crazy! But why my dad? What did he do? Edward revealed that he suspected modeling Sync was a front for human trafficking, and my dad was the brains behind the operation. No way! My daddy is a good man! Edward, he was always kind to you, wasn't he?
People only show you the version they want you to see. Even this silly boy fooled you. What makes you think your cunning father couldn't do the same? Do you know why he's especially interested in Henry? Because he's his next target. I'm sorry, Sally, but it's true. I know it's hard to hear, but we need your help to stop this.
Did my dad really do all these awful things? But that meant my life was a lie. Whether I liked the truth or not, I needed to discover it once and for all. I held my phone in shaking hands and waited for the message, even though I desperately didn't want to receive it. Sticking to Edward's plan, I ran into Dad's office in a panic. Dad, Henry's about to quit. I found a one-way plane ticket to Ontario, and it leaves tonight.
What? It can't be.
But the message just came. Just like Edward calculated, Edward in his Henry disguise was kidnapped and brought to the port to be tracked. So, it's true. My dad's a criminal. Then the police officers who already surrounded that area will arrest him and...
Sally?
Dad, why are you still here?
Sweetie, it's the middle of the night. Where else would I be but home?
Right at that moment, Travis called me.
Edward's tracking device indicates he's moving in the opposite direction of the police ambush.
I know where he's going. You should go straight there. I asked Dad to drive me there. If Dad wasn't behind it, then it had to be someone who worked directly with the models and knew that Henry was about to leave tonight. The only person who got all three was Mia. We arrived at the same time as Travis and the police. Travis rang the bell, and the door opened on Mia and her minions.
What? But we just took him.
Sally? Dad? Mia was still as sharp as ever, but still, the police were one step ahead.
It's you?
Travis reached me first and protected me from her while Edward pulled Mia back.
You tricked me!
We have literally everything. Why did you have to go down this route?
You're always Dad's favorite, while I've always been a spare part. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into modeling Sync, yet one day it will be all yours. I'd rather burn and ruin the agency I've worked so hard for than see it in others' hands. No, you got it wrong. I love you both.
They arrested Mia and found the kidnapped models. What Mia did was wrong, but she was still my sister, so Dad and I visited her in prison.
Mia, I'm sorry for everything. I thought you were stronger than Sally, and when Mom passed away, that she needed me more than you did. I know it's late, but I promise I will make it up to you.
As we left, I saw Edward and Travis. Then Travis pulled me aside, apologizing for using my feelings to aid their investigation. I still love Travis, but I couldn't get over that. He deceived me, and I wasn't going to let anyone treat me like a gullible fool ever again. So I quit my job at the company and decided to leave my comfy, overprotected nest to experience the real world. After everything that had happened, I maintained my own belief that after the storm, the sun always comes up. I studied abroad, participated in multiple charity organizations, and became a teacher in remote areas. And one time, while I was teaching in a remote jungle location, I bumped into a familiar face.
Don't worry, I'm not running into you again this time.
Hey guys, it's me, Milo. I'm back again to share the next part of my story with you. Firstly, here's a quick recap. So my ex Lyanna cheated on me with some college doofus, and in doing so broke my heart. So I decided that if I couldn't be happy, then neither could anyone else. So, around Valentine's Day, I messed with other couples. One such prank led me to meet Vanessa. Then, I found myself falling for her. The problem is she has a boyfriend, and he's a jerk. And the even bigger problem is that I just found out that she's my ex's little sister. And there's a chance I may have told Vanessa some pretty harsh truths about her sister. But in my defense back then, I didn't realize they were siblings. At first, I had no idea how to deal with the situation, so I just decided to avoid everyone. If I saw Vanessa at school, then I darted around the corner into the restroom behind an overweight kid. Anything that meant I didn't have to face her. The problem was I found myself missing her too much. I felt like I couldn't live without her. So no matter the consequences, I had to do something now. So I walked up to her at lunch and told her I'd been avoiding her because I couldn't cope with seeing her so upset over her boyfriend. That didn't deserve her and it was wrong of him to hit her, and she should get out now while she still could. Then I told her I'd always be there for her, and hopefully as more than just friends. She seemed touched. She knew there were a lot of problems in their relationship too, but admitted she'd been in denial about it all. She held my hand and said that she had feelings for me too, but now we had to deal with her boyfriend first. Ugh, her boyfriend Kane. He was the short-tempered kind of guy who solves everything with a punch. He will never accept it if she breaks up with him. It would dent his pride too much, and probably result in him being violent toward her. While to be honest, I'm too much of a coward. I couldn't protect her in that case. If he knew she was breaking up with him to be with me, well, then that's the end for me. So I thought long and hard about this, and then, voila, I derived a master plan. If he couldn't handle Vanessa breaking up with him, then we'll make him break up with her. Wow, am I a genius or what? The next day I told Vanessa the plan. It's simple. She just needs to intentionally look sloppy, stinky, and ugly in front of him so he would soon tire of her. When she first heard it, she wasn't impressed and said, "That's so embarrassing. I can't do that. No girl wants to look like a mess." I told her that she would only have to do it in front of him. Besides, he went to a different school to us, so she could still look like her usual pretty self in class. Eventually, she agreed to do it. And as I expected, just after a few weeks of playing ugly, Kane had enough and broke up with her. Vanessa came around to mine and excitedly told me the news. She'd gone to Kane's place without any makeup on, wearing some stained oversized shirt, her hair a mess, and she hadn't even brushed her teeth. Then, when he ended it with her, she pretended to cry. I couldn't believe this good girl could act pretty well too. Then, seizing the occasion, I asked her to be my girlfriend, and she of course said yes. Then we kissed, and well, talk about amazing. She was such a better kisser than her sister. We kept our relationship low-key at first. This worked for her as she didn't want to rub our relationship in Kane's face. And it worked for me as I didn't want Lyanna to find out. Then, after a month of dating, she dropped the bomb. "I want you to meet my sister. She's in college and lives in another city, but she's currently home for vacation. I should officially introduce you to her first, since we don't know when she will leave again." I could have screamed out, but instead, I kept my cool and asked to see a picture of her. Then on seeing one, I feigned being shocked and said that this girl always picked on me during middle school, and I was still traumatized from it. That those were the darkest years of my life. I mean, I didn't actually know Lyanna back in middle school, probably because she was a year older than me, but Vanessa didn't need to know this. Vanessa felt bad for me and said she didn't know that there was that side to her sister. She said it was true that Lyanna was pretty cranky in middle school, but thought that was just puberty. She never realized she was actually a mean girl, especially not to a younger kid. By this point, I might as well have been cast in some soap opera as my performance was a class act. I must have looked so pathetic that she told me it's okay, and she'd not mention Lyanna anymore until I felt comfortable about it. This solved my ex problem, for now, but it didn't solve the Kane problem, as he found out about Vanessa and me, and he wasn't happy. My guess is Kane must have stalked Vanessa and spotted us together. Then he followed me home, as that crazy dude showed up on my doorstep and yelled at me to stay away from her. Well, I couldn't blame him. No one on earth ever likes their ex's new partner. Not only did this crazy guy know where I lived, but now my sister Kayla also knew about my relationship with Vanessa. Since she's still bitter about the Valentine prank I pulled on her, recap, it involved her boyfriend, and a whole lot of duct tape. So it wasn't overly surprising when she smirked at me and said, "Just you wait and see. I haven't forgot about what you did to me on Valentine's, and now seems like the perfect time for revenge." I repeated her words in a mocking tone to annoy her, but to be honest, deep down in my gut, I did feel on the anxious side. She's just as crazy of a prankster as I am. Now I always had to be on guard. After that, my sister and Kane seemed to take turns to ruin our dates. Geez, didn't they have anything better to do? One time I was kissing Vanessa out in the yard. Suddenly there was water pouring down from nowhere. We were completely soaked. I looked around and saw my sister standing on the second floor balcony, holding an empty bucket and said, "Oops, I was just trying to water the flowers." Then on a movie date night, Kane showed up at the same film, sat in the row behind us, and kept on kicking the back of my seat, and even threw popcorn at me. Later, when I went home and checked the hood of my hoodie, there were all kinds of trash and enough popcorn for the next movie date. How childish. It was all trivial stuff, really, but it was getting annoying. Then, on our 2-month anniversary, I told Vanessa to dress up all nice, then I took her to the swanky Italian restaurant. The meal was amazing, until when I reached into my pocket and took out my wallet to pay. Then, to my horror, a picture of a bikini-wearing girl fell out of nowhere. I was so shocked and just froze in confusion. Vanessa looked so upset. I explained that I'd never seen that picture before in my life, and I had no idea who the girl was. Then the waiter showed up with the card machine. I clumsily opened my wallet, but none of my cards were there. I searched my pockets again in panic, but nothing, not even a penny. Bright red, I muttered out that I had no money on me. This was the worst moment of my life. I thought I was going to lose my girlfriend and have to pot wash. But then I heard arguing coming from outside. Me, Vanessa, and the waiter all stared out the window and saw my sister and Kane yelling at each other. We stepped outside and listened in on their conversation. Turns out my sister had taken all the cards out of my wallet so I wouldn't be able to pay. She's been peeking in from the window all night long and spying on us, just to wait and see my pathetic face as I found out that all of my cards have vanished into thin air. But then she was disappointed that it didn't go to plan because I was busy explaining to Vanessa about some stupid photo instead. That's when she met eyes with some crazy guy who was standing next to her and laughing his ass off in satisfaction, which you can already tell who he was, the mastermind of that bikini photo prank. Kayla got annoyed and picked a fight with Kane because now she felt like her prank had been overlooked and she wasn't happy about it. It's kind of dumb, really. As if they weren't so proud and headstrong, they could have watched me miserably try to squirm my way out of the no cards and picture of another girl fiasco. Instead, they'd been caught red-handed setting me up. Vanessa pointed at Kane and said to the waiter, "He'll pay for our meal." Then she grabbed my arm and pulled me away. So yeah, we left my sister and Kane to their arguing, and I took Vanessa home. Then, a few days later, Kane sent me a message. "It's amazing what delving into your past can bring up. I know all about you and Lyanna. Set me up on a date with your sister or else I'll tell Vanessa everything." Dang it. Who would have thought after that stupid incident that crazy Kane guy would catch feelings for my evil little sister? In hot sweats, I replied that my sister already had a boyfriend. Unsurprisingly, Kane didn't care about this factor. He told me a time and a place and said my sister better be there else he wouldn't just tell Vanessa about Lyanna. He'd also 100% ruin my life. OMG, what am I supposed to do now? Do I really have to set up a date for my little sister with a crazy guy like Kane? Oh well, she's not really sane either, but she's still my sister. But if I don't agree to help him, then who knows what could happen to me tomorrow? I mean, I don't want Vanessa to find out about Lyanna, and I also don't want to end up a beaten up mess. I'm so torn. This is killing me.
Hey, get up! Who are you? What are you doing in my room? What? Excuse me? Who are you? This is my room. This guy was totally crazy. He insisted this was his room, even though I picked the key up from reception just 2 hours ago. What do you mean you got the key? I checked in first and just left the key at the reception desk to go out and buy some stuff. Whatever. I like the beach view here, so I'm staying. Unbelievable! Then he pulled out his phone and called reception. Okay, so I'm Lyanna, and I'm in the tropical paradise of Bali. My dream vacation wasn't off to a great start, thanks to this Charles guy trying to kick me out of my perfect beach view bungalow. Poof! Okay, now listen. They admit they gave you the wrong key. He pointed at his phone. Now, go back to reception, get the right one, and they'll probably give you a free treatment in the spa or something as compensation. No chance. I frowned at him. I like this room. How about you leave and go and enjoy a free spa treatment or whatever? Hell no! He growled at me. I paid for it, so I'm staying put. After that, we continued to quarrel until I felt a pain in my chest. And the next thing I knew, I'd fainted. Ugh.
I guess it was just far too hot here for arguing. He put a pillow under my head and said, "Miss, you can stop pretending now. Wake up!" I had a feeling he was staring at me, but I didn't move. "Fine. Keep on playing your little pretend games. But I'm not leaving this room either." Silence. He must have given up. But then I felt a weight next to me on the bed. Without a second thought, I opened my eyes and leaped off the bed. Oh, turns out he wasn't trying to harm me. Instead, he was just sitting on the side and opening his laptop. Oops. He rolled his eyes, told me to go, and then started typing away. I swished my hair back, then said, "In your dreams? Now, I'm off to enjoy this sunny day. When I come back, I don't want to see your face." After that, I left and spent the rest of the day relaxing on the beach. Bali was just so beautiful. At night, I returned to the bungalow and was ready to fall into bed. "Hello," I said as I walked inside. Whoa, he wasn't there. I'd won the Battle of the Bungalows. I used the last of my energy jumping up and down on the bed and singing out, "He left, I win, he's a loser, I'm a winner." Then I curled up into bed and started to drift off. Smash! I jolted upright. The window had been broken, and lingering at the foot of my bed was a tall, dark figure. I screamed at the top of my lungs, but they lunged forward and covered my mouth with their hands. "Shut up," they whispered in my ear, then pulled their mask off. It was Charles. Confused, I blurted out, "What the? Why did you break the window?" "Quick, grab your things." I pushed him off me and sat there with folded arms. Nice try, but if this is your way of kicking me out, it won't work. I'm not leaving. Suddenly, another man entered the room. Charles placed his mask back on and quickly grabbed the lamp from the bedside table and threw it at the man. I grabbed my bag in a panic, while Charles took something from his backpack, and then he led me out of the room. We took the back road out of the bungalow and headed into the forest. "Where are we going, and who is he?" I questioned, but he remained silent. "Say something. What's going on?" "Shut up for a minute. Now, I'll take you to the airport to leave this island," Charles grumbled. It was pitch black, and I was trampling through the forest in flip-flops. Ugh! Then, to make it even worse, I tripped over a branch and busted my knee. "Great!" He lowered his back and said, "Get on." I was a bit surprised at first. Maybe he wasn't as mean as I first thought. After a while, he decided we should rest in the forest till dawn. Charles fell asleep the second he hit the ground. I couldn't sleep, and then I thought back on the incident in the bungalow. Thinking about it, I remembered Charles grabbing something from his bag. So I crept over to him and slowly reached for his pocket to see what it was. Suddenly, he grabbed my arm tightly. "Charles, let me go!" I hissed out. My arm started to hurt. Ouch! "Look, this is a dangerous business I'm in," he said as he let go of me. "I'm trying to keep us both safe." Okay, I could really see worry in his eyes, so I muttered out, "Fine," then rubbed my arm. After a ridiculously uncomfortable night of zero sleep, he nudged me at dawn and told me to start walking. He took my hand and led me forward. I guess it was nice that he was so focused on protecting me, but, why did he keep looking at his phone? Are we lost?" I asked. He kept his eyes on the screen and shook his head. Then he led me into the other direction, and then another. Yep, we were so lost. After what felt like hours of walking in circles, I slumped down on a rock and pulled a water bottle out of my bag. "Let's just find the hotel," I suggested. "No, we can't. Going back is more dangerous." "But, fine. Can you at least tell me why we're sweating our butts off out here?" "I suppose I've implemented you," he sighed out. "Still, you have to take this to your grave." "I won't tell. Promise." "They're after this." He took a USB stick out of his pocket. "The president of the company I work for is carrying out illegal activities, and this is proof." "Whoa, you're like James Bond!" I smiled as I passed him the water bottle. "Hardly." He laughed. Then he thanked me as he took the water and drank half of it without hesitation, then offered me the rest. He told me he was working for another company and had been sent in to investigate. "So, you're betraying the president?" I asked skeptically. "Kind of. Yes. By the way, I know you just wanted a nice vacation, but I've accidentally dragged you into this mess. I'm so sorry." "Don't worry. I guess this is kinda exciting. But this is the summer getaway with the most insects I've ever had." I swatted a mosquito away. I heard him laugh, but hang on. Why was he all blurry? I slurred out, "Is your head heavy?" Then I saw him faint in front of me, and a few seconds later, the world turned black. I flickered open my eyes. My head hurt. I was tied to a chair. And so was Charles. There were some scary-looking guys staring at us. Oh no, this couldn't be good. One man walked over to Charles and in a stern tone said, "Charles, hand over the USB, and no one gets hurt." "I don't know anything about a USB," he muttered out. "I don't want to give out threats with her here. But if you insist..." One of the bodyguards walked towards me, grabbed my hair, and pulled it backward. "If you don't find value in her life, just keep it and watch her die. Stop! Leave her out of this! I don't have the USB. I dropped it somewhere in the forest." Then he turned to me. "I'm so sorry I got you into this." The man sneered. "Stop being so emotional, Charles. It doesn't suit you." I was shaking with fear as the man pulled something out from his back and pointed at me. "Last chance, Charles." He shouted out, "No! It's in her pocket." He must have snuck it in there when we were in the forest. Did he really believe that I would escape and expose the evidence? Then... Cut! Good job, guys! We should be nominated for an Oscar award after this, I joked, while the men kneeled down and untied me. "About time," I said snidely, as I took the USB out of my pocket and began spinning it with my fingers. I peered down at Charles and smirked. "Thanks for protecting me and everything, but it turns out I have what I needed." "What? Who are you?" Charles asked in shock. So I put him out of his misery and told him everything. "Yeah, I'm the daughter of the company's president, the same said company that he stole top-secret information from. My father asked me to go and find him. The wrong reception key was a setup, and my water bottle has a mild sedative in it." "You don't understand. What your father did was illegal," he insisted. I rolled my eyes. Yeah, whatever you say." I started walking away. "Please, see for yourself. Look at the USB." I chewed on my lip. Poor Charles. He was no match for me or my father. Soon, we'd all be on a plane and flying back to the US, and then he would pay for what he did. Well, that was a job well done. So now it was time to relax with a glass of champagne. After all, I deserved it. One simple extraction back home, and my father's company would be saved. And Daddy's little girl would get a pat on the shoulder for yet another job well done. Hooray! But I must say, I kinda pity Charles, being a pawn in somebody else's game. He was really nice, and clever too, but not enough to see all this coming, apparently. I took the USB out of my pocket and stared at it. But what secrets did my father keep? We didn't have anything fishy, right? My father did talk a lot about how hard he worked, and how honestly he conducted himself. So why did he specifically ask me not to peek at the file? A little look wouldn't hurt, right? I know. It's not very good of me to disobey my father, but come on, I'm his daughter. I'm set to take over from him anyways. So consider this a double check, eh? Just to be sure. I regret looking at that file. I truly do, as the truth was unbearable. It turns out, my father had been lying to me from the very beginning. So Charles was actually telling the truth. He was indeed stealing dirty secrets from my father to bring it to the light. Ironic, isn't it? I laughed at him for being so gullible and believed the lies about my father's company, while it was me who got lied to. These truths were hard to swallow. I bore the legacy of a lifetime of scamming and cheating. No, I didn't want to live like that. It was just so wrong. As I delivered both the USB and Charles to my father, I knew what I needed to do. So I held the USB out to my father and said, "Daddy, I looked at it, so I now know everything. Please stop." Lyanna, so your father turned himself in and will be in jail for a while. So what do you plan on doing with the company? I was quiet for a moment. This was a big question. Should I continue with my father's business or put an end to it once and for all? I thought back to the day when I confronted my father. But Princess, I did it all for you. It's your legacy. I don't want to live with dirty money, Dad. You've always been my hero, but now I'm just ashamed of you. His face fell, and I saw the sadness in his eyes. Seeing my father like that was the worst feeling in the world. Then it looked like he realized something. My father quietly nodded, handed me the president of the company seal, and sadly left the room. I'm afraid that I would repeat my father's mistake. So, taking a deep breath, I looked the journalist directly in the eyes and assertively said, "After careful consideration, I've decided to close the company." After the conference, I was on my way out of the building when Charles caught up with me and asked, "Well, Lyanna, what will you do now?" I shrugged. I don't know. I suppose anything is possible. Although, I do need a place to stay first. I can't return to mine. I can't bear it. Well, if you'd like, you could stay with me. Charles smiled at me. Yeah, I'd like that. Then grinning, I added, "As long as you don't try to kick me out this time, or drag me through a forest." I hate what my father did, but in the end, he did own up to his crimes and is paying the price. As for me, I was just going to take one day at a time and see where life took me. And if that just so happened to involve a certain James Bond wannabe, then so be it. I was enjoying my perfect Friday night watching my favorite YouTuber's latest video when it got interrupted by a phone call. "Tessa, the cops arrested me! Dress as my mom and come bail me out!" That was Katie, my annoying cousin. She's the biggest troublemaker I know, which is why my aunt sent her to live at my house, in hopes that we could help change her attitude. Poof! So now I have to sneak into Mom's closet and borrow some of her clothes. How do I apply makeup to look older? Ugh, that'll have to do. So, officer, what trouble's she in this time? She vandalized a car. Not me, Mom. Blame the dumb car that got in my way. Jeez, if I were really Katie's mom, I would let her rot in jail until she came to her senses. I was about to lead Katie out of there when a boy grinned at me and said, "Madam, can you bail me out too?" Sorry, but no. You're not my problem. Okay, well, then can you at least give me your number? I spotted Katie frown at him, then she pulled on my arm. Let's go home, Mom. Katie, can't you grow up? I can't cover for you forever. You'll do it, else I may just accidentally slip out your little secrets to your parents. Ugh, That threat sure is getting old. Okay, so I didn't bail out Katie out of choice. You see, she has something over me. The thing is, I have a passion for baking, but my parents think this is a waste of time. I knew they'd never knowingly pay for my cooking classes, so I told them I needed money to join an extra study class. I know it sounds bad, but I did apply to work at a coffee shop bakery so I could pay them back while also gaining experience. But then Katie discovered my secret, and now she's using it to control me. Then, just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, I arrived home to find my parents waiting up for me in the living room.
Tessa, you were out partying, weren't you?
Why do you keep on disobeying us? And is that my dress? Why can't you be more like Katie? She's really improved her grades. I turned around to see that Katie was nowhere to be seen. She must have quickly escaped through the back door to her room. What a minx! But my parents still believed she's the golden girl. Poof! It's rubbish, of course. The good grades she brought home were all by cheating. If it weren't for Katie knowing my secret, I so would have exposed her by now. Actually, besides Katie, there's also Celia, my best friend, who also knows about this. She may be a hothead, but when it comes to my secrets, I know her lips are sealed. Hey, Tessa, you have to see this. Celia waved her phone in my face. Hang on, that was Bitkit Bakes, my all-time fave YouTube channel. I'd been following this guy for ages. He was so talented. Oh, and he always wore this cute kitty mask. Look at his hands. They're so beautiful. And how I adore his warm voice. I bet he's really handsome, too. Celia is so smitten with boys. Ugh, it's Katie again. She's left her lipstick in the canteen and I've got to fetch it for her and take it to some cafe in town. This is ridiculous. I'm sure she could survive without her stupid lipstick for one afternoon. I walked into the cafe and spotted Katie sitting with two boys. Wasn't that the boy from the cop station? Turns out he's called Max, and he's Katie's new boyfriend. And the other guy is Cody. Both of them are college students. Hey, Tessa, you should stay for cake. Seeing as I was here, I may as well have something sweet, right? So I ignored Katie's eye rolls in my direction and joined them. The waiter brought some chocolate fudge cake over and, yum, it sure looked good. I took a forkful of it and, something wasn't quite right. This cake could use some salted caramel.
Poof, a cake needs to keep its original flavor. If you add that to it, it'll be far too sweet.
Oh, how rude. I was only voicing my opinion. Right at that moment, Celia phoned me. I just answered when she started screaming so loudly, and I had to hold my phone away from my ear. Tessa, Tessa, Tessa! Celia, is everything okay? I know how to impress the Bitkit Bakes guy. We must make him a DIY gift. A chocolate resin phone case. What do you think? Am I a genius or what? I noticed Max, Cody, and Katie all giving me strange looks. Jeez, this was so embarrassing. So I quickly hung up on Celia, then made my excuse to leave. Ugh. I liked it better when only I knew about Bitkit Bakes. I watch his videos every day and daydream about baking with him. But now Celia's obsession over him was kinda tiring me out. She texted me nonstop to ramble about him and dragged me into her silly fan projects. She even joined this online fan club of his, and they all talked about how fit he looks, how handsome he must be. Hello, does anyone here really care about cooking? At least work meant I had a break from Celia's mithering. Ugh, what was he doing here? He bought 2 cups of coffee, then asked to borrow my phone because his was out of battery. I reluctantly handed over my precious phone, but then I heard a ringtone. Max excitedly took his ringing phone out of his pocket and said, "So now I have your phone number, cute girl." What? The cheek of him! I'm his girlfriend's cousin. Has he no shame? I gave him a dumbfounded look, but he just smiled, handed back my phone, and winked at me. "I saved my number in your phone. Give me a call." Then he left. He just reached the door when I snapped out of my daze. The phone case. Our chocolate phone case. Why did he have it? It's one of a kind, and we've already sent it to Bitkit Bakes. Didn't we? I was about to run after him to clear this up when Katie appeared. Max, why did it take you so long to buy coffee? Then she stormed over to the counter as soon as she spotted me. Stay away from my boyfriend, or your secret goes parent public, okay? Katie glared at me and dragged Max away. Even though they were leaving, I could still hear her voice. Don't talk to that girl. I don't like her. Huh? What on earth? Who wants her boyfriend anyway? How irritating. One evening, I was lying on the couch and thinking about whether Max could really be Bitkit Bakes when Celia excitedly ran over. I have our mysterious idol's phone number! Oh no, here we go again. Celia was way too excitable sometimes. So a secret source that's in the fandom sent it to me. I wonder if this is his real number. You really believe that's Bitkit's number? Let's just give it a try. We have nothing to lose. It would be a lie to say I wasn't any tiny bit curious. So I entered the phone number, and as soon as I pressed the call, Max's name appeared on the screen. Huh? What's this? I quickly hung up and turned to tell Celia that it was just a fake number. If Max is really our idol, then I don't want Celia getting muddled up with my crazy cousin's love life. Celia just shrugged and said, It's okay, I'll find another way. Then she did that sticking tongue-out concentration face of hers as she fiddled around on her phone. The next day, I got home from my shift feeling a little worn out, but Celia still wouldn't give me a break. She came right over and dragged me out somewhere. Where are we going? I asked, but Celia just kept silent. Then we stopped in front of a small white house. At that point, Celia said, My source says this is Bitkit Bakes' home. We're about to meet the most amazing guy ever. Before I could react, Celia ran to ring the doorbell. And as soon as the door opened, standing in front of us were Max and Katie. Tessa, why are you here? You know him? This is Max, Katie's boyfriend. We were on our way to a friend's party, but it seems like we have the wrong house. Sorry for bothering you. Then I hurriedly pulled Celia's hand to leave. But Max stopped us. Oh yeah? Then you must have come to the right house. We're having a party, so join us. I quickly waved my hand to refuse, but Celia immediately said, That would be great. And then ignoring Katie's death stares, pulled me inside. So turns out Max lives here with Cody and this guy called Trevor. I'll find out which of these three boys is our idol. Wait for it. Celia made up some excuse about loving their decor and wanting to see the rest of it for inspiration. Trevor, who seemed to like her, jumped at the opportunity to show her around. Meanwhile, I wandered into the kitchen to try and solve the Bitkit Bakes mystery myself. Max was in there making himself an egg sandwich, but, oh my god, had he never touched a whisk before? He's so clumsy. I don't think there would be much of the egg left in the bowl after he's done whisking. The kitchen counter was full of food for the party, so I decided to give them a hand. Let's see. I spotted a bowl of cookie mixture, which looked like it could use some special ingredient, so I reached for the jar of sugar. And as expected, a hand stopped me. But, Cody? What are you doing? You use brown sugar for cookies, not white. You don't want to end up with a load of air pockets, do you? Yes, of course I knew that. And I also knew Bitkit had once said those exact words in one of his previous clips. So, the anonymous idol is Cody? But Max's phone case was the one we sent to our idol, and the idol's phone number that Celia found was also Max's. This was so confusing, and I needed answers, so I asked Max to go outside with me. You aren't Bitkit Bakes, right? Why do you have that phone case? Oh, so you figured it out! Yeah, I know you sent it to Cody, so I intercepted it. I'm also the anonymous fan who gave Celia this address. It's fate, baby. You and me are meant to be together. Then he lunged towards me with outstretched arms. Oh my god, did he have tentacle arms or something? I couldn't escape from his grip. Then who should appear but, yep, Katie. She charged over, then pushed me, falling to the ground. Cody appeared and tried to stop the fight, but Katie's flailing arms knocked into him and caused his wrist to brush against the hot barbecue grill. I quickly went to check on Cody, but Katie just screamed out, "I hate you!" then ran off with a shameless Max in hot pursuit. We then went to Cody's room to get the first aid box. Hang on, I recognize that mask. Don't worry, I'll keep your secret. But maybe this arm shouldn't be on screen for a while. Celia has, the best detective sense. Yeah, I guess. I'm thinking maybe a cute girl like you should wear the cat mask for the next few videos. What do you think? Are you sure? Your fans might speculate that the girl would have some kind of special relationship with you. Gosh, what am I saying? Wake up, Tessa! I should go. Right, there's something important waiting for me to handle at home. What a messy day! I couldn't carry on being under Katie's control any longer. I needed to confess all to my parents before she told them. Only, when I walked through the door, I heard these weird sounds coming from the living room. It was Katie bawling her eyes out on the couch. I ignored her and was about to go upstairs, but suddenly, she ran over to me and hugged me. Tessa, I'm so sorry for pushing you. I never meant for anyone to get hurt. I just really love Max, and it breaks my heart knowing he's such a womanizer. It's okay, but you seriously deserve way better than that jerk. So Katie and I made up, and she also promised that she wouldn't blab my secret to my parents. But I want to tell them the truth. I mean, I can't lie to them forever, right? And when they see how much baking means to me, they'll support me, right? Hey guys, so I entered a baking contest and invited my parents along. And guess what? I won the Best Newcomer prize. Eek! Better still, my parents congratulated me and told me that if I loved baking this much, I should follow my dreams. Oh, and I did use the prize money from the contest to pay them back. Cody's been a massive help. He's given me some great tips and, actually, we've started dating. It's early days, but being with him makes me feel as happy as eating freshly made cookies. And as for Celia, well, she's still pretty convinced that Trevor's her idol. One day I'll introduce her to the real Bitkit Bakes. Soon.
Hello, hallway. Hello, classmates. I, Taya, have finally returned to school after 3 months. What the what? What's with everyone's goggled-eyed looks? The boys were all slipping off their chairs. Had I morphed into Jenna Ortega this summer break or something? Oh, turns out there's a new girl standing behind me. Are you the new student? Let me show you around. Oh, boys, weren't they forgetting something? Their existing girlfriends, which they were only with because of me. Anyway, I'm Taya, aka Stalking Lord, ruler of all information in school. Just give me a full name and some of your allowance money, and I can dig up the 411 on your crush. These idiots only impressed their girlfriends due to my incredible talent. And now they're all over this Mira girl? Pfft, do they have no shame? Unlike me, once I like someone, then my eyes don't wander. The one and only Adonis of my heart is Colin. He's so sweet. He has this shining halo when he plays basketball, and most importantly, he's flawlessly handsome. But I hadn't told him how I felt, 'cause, as you can see, he's not short of admirers, and nothing seems to impress him. So I was still trying to figure out the best way to get on his radar. My everyday joy was quietly observing him from afar. But wait! What happened to his car? What's with all the silly scribbles? Finn, the troublemaker, and his minions were standing nearby laughing at my Colin. Ugh! Those notorious rebels, for some reason, seem to thrive off tormenting poor Col. So you're a vandal now, huh, Finn? Look who's talking. Oh, I see. The new team captain? Finn threw the spray can at Col, then left. Why isn't Colin doing anything? Maybe he doesn't want to rise to such petty idiots? Then let me handle this. I know exactly what his Achilles heel is. A few days later, I secretly put a small box in Finn's locker and watched on as his minions gathered around excitedly gawping at it. They too must be amazed that their big man's finally getting a love confession time, huh? Finn smugly opened the box, but then freaked out and threw it in the air. The cockroaches escaped and ran rampant across the hallway. It's pure chaos. A bunch of wimps. Oh, he finally discovered the note I attached. Finn was fuming and shouted that he would find the instigator. I could see Colin walk off from the crowd. If only he knew what I did for him, he'd be so impressed. But nope, Finn took zero notice of my warning and continued to bother Colin. Ugh, I can't let him get away with this. That gremlin needs to learn some serious lessons. Finn always stays late after school to sneak up to the terrace and practice skateboarding. So I schemed to get him stuck in the elevator. He'd be trapped there for at least an hour. Enough time for that claustrophobic peacebreaker to read the second warning letter and apologize for what he did. There he is. Time to leave. I ducked my head, gently stepping out of the elevator, when suddenly Finn grabbed my wrist and pulled me back. How long are you going to play Beauty Saves the Hero, huh? How could he know? It turns out that Finn's minions happened to see a bunch of pictures of Colin decorated with hearts in my locker, and they even found a list of Finn's weaknesses in my bag. Just one cute puppy can make him scream like a little girl? Suddenly, the elevator stopped. Oh no, I didn't mean to trap myself here like this, with this punk. You did this too, right? You've gone too far. Tell you what, be my servant for a month, and I'll let you off. As if. Stay away from Colin, and I'll stay away from you. You don't even know his true face. I doubt you'd still like him if you did. Anyway, I heard that the principal is desperate to get his hands on the cockroach culprit. Your choice. Do you want to pay the price to him, or to me? Ugh, he's got me. But what does this Finn know about Colin that I don't? Okay, just 1 month. And don't think it'll be easy to be my boss. Heh, nice. Then I have first order for you already. And so, I had to sing and dance to entertain him until someone came to rescue us. In the following days, the bossy Finn kept sending me on dumb errands and rebuking me for every single thing. There's no denying that this guy was a gifted painter. It's just a shame about his lousy personality. As soon as someone spotted us, he immediately skated away, leaving me running after him. He didn't study either, so I had to do all his homework. He even made me run around the school just to buy him some snacks. This time, Finn asked me to put this cake on Miss Watterson's desk. Did he finally do something nice? No! How foolish I was! Turns out he'd injected food coloring into it to prank our teacher, and he took a video of me placing it on her desk to slander me. You have to stay after school and film me every skateboarding session, or else I'll tell her. That guy has gone too far. Is he forcing me to work overtime now? And since I have been busy being Finn's puppet, I didn't even have time to look after Colin anymore. I've tried several times asking why he hates Colin that much, but every time I mentioned it, he got all touchy. And there's one more thing that intrigued me. There was something up with Finn's leg. Hey, does your left leg hurt? It's perfectly fine. Don't act like we're close. Why do you have to be so sensitive? No wonder no one likes you. Oh, please. Being liked by someone like you would be a nightmare. The only girl on my level in this place is Mira. She's sweet and gentle. Besides, she's only been here 5 minutes and she has already established an art club. He can't compare the Little Mermaid to Princess Merida. We're basically just different. Heard you're the one who knows everything at school, right? Find out about her for me. It might be your last mission. For what? Are you going to put her in trouble too? Well, this proves that a know-it-all like you doesn't know anything about me. It's just like you don't understand your Colin at all. Just give this to Mira. Remember to do it in a private place so she doesn't feel awkward. Oh, he even drew the card himself. This side of rebellious Finn really surprised me. But come to think of it, if Finn was too busy with love, he wouldn't torture me anymore. Under Finn's instructions, I went to school early the next day to find his muse. As soon as I saw Mira, I immediately chased after her, but was she talking to Colin? Why do they look so sneaky? I don't get it. Why do you want to hide this? I've just transferred here. I don't want your harem bothering me. So in front of others, just pretend we're strangers, okay? Fine. See you after school then. I'll pick you up. Okay. See ya, honey bun. What was that? Are they dating? This isn't good news at all. Right at that moment, Finn came to ask me, "Why haven't you passed her the card? What happened?" Then I told Finn what I just saw. Colin offered to pick her up after school, then Mira even called him Honey Bun. Looks like my first love has ended before it had even began. But they don't even have the guts to make it public? Colin doesn't deserve Mira. But that's okay. I've got a plan. So according to his scheme, basically we needed to separate them. Then I'd take Colin, and Finn would take Mira. That day after school, I assisted Finn in flattening Colin's tires. I know, I hated causing trouble for my beloved Colin. But this is the only way to give Finn an opening to offer Mira a ride because she was in a hurry to get to her ballet class. The day after, Finn helped me draw Colin as a partner for my chemistry project. During class, I was super excited and nervous when sitting next to my Adonis, until I noticed Colin writing something to Mira and leaving it on her lab table. I immediately dragged Finn to steal the letter. Don't forget, today we have to pick Tommy up, and Mom asked what you wanted for dinner.
Was their relationship progressing this fast? Colin had already introduced Mira to his family.
We couldn't let the two just simply meet up like that, so we stalked and followed them to a preschool. Upon catching sight of them with a little boy, Finn suddenly blurted,
"What? Don't tell me that boy's their son."
"No, it's just Colin's little brother. Tommy, age 5.5. Favorite color? Green. Favorite food? Ice cream."
Anyway, my eyes itch seeing them happy with each other. Let's sabotage them.
So, we kidnapped the kid. Oh, it's not as bad as you think. We just took him for ice cream without telling Colin and Mira.
That kid doesn't look worried at all.
Why be worried? You saved me from those boring two. So, Tommy, do you know that Mira is having dinner with your family tonight? Yeah. Mira, she stays at our house every day.
What?
Another chocolate ice cream, please, then I'll talk.
I gave him a new cup of ice cream right away. This kid was smart.
Well, she stays with us because she's our cousin.
What? Why did she call Colin Honey Bun then?
Maybe because Mom calls him by this embarrassing nickname all the time.
Right at that moment, Mira rushed into the ice cream shop in panic. So, you guys are cousins? Why hide it from everyone?
It's because she's afraid people will find out that her parents are bankrupts. No, that's not true. Don't listen to that kid. Yes, it is. I heard you telling Colin all about it. Okay, that's the reason. But please, don't tell anyone about this. I quickly said that we would agree if Mira went on a date with Finn. The guy looked shocked. Didn't think I could be so quick-witted, huh? Surprisingly, Mira smiled and said she didn't mind going on a date with Finn anyway. She always thought he's kinda cute.
Huh, so everything is just that easy? That means my servant life will finally end here.
Only then did Colin rush over.
Tommy, why are you here?
Oh, I just got lost so they saw me and bought ice cream to calm me down. They didn't kidnap me at all.
Oh, Tommy.
So that's how Mira and Finn got their first date. The deal between me and Finn is considered to be over then. But why do I feel so empty instead of relieved? Suddenly, something hit my leg. Aren't you supposed to be on a date?
I knew my servant would still be waiting for the boss right here.
Turns out, their date was a bit odd. Mira didn't seem to like Finn's antics, and Mira's neediness wound Finn up. So this is definitely their last date. I laughed out loud, but Finn quickly stopped me.
How about you and Colin? Still don't have the guts to confess?
I may have successfully protected my Adonis, but I don't know why. It's like there's something that keeps holding me back from confessing. Finn immediately took me to get a makeover. He's a very enthusiastic consultant and seems to be very knowledgeable about Colin's tastes. When seeing me in the new dress, he even said I looked cute. Okay, where had rude Finn gone? What do you think of me and Colin becoming a couple?
What do you mean?
I mean, you used to say that Colin was terrible and all, but now you're willing to help us get together.
Actually, he's not that bad, and I'm doing this for you. You like him, right?
Yeah, I like Colin, right? Why did my feelings seem vague? What had gone into my head? The next day at school, when I appeared in front of Colin with my new look, he seemed impressed. And you know what? He even suggested going on a date with me. Yay!
But I'm not sure I can last a whole date in this tight dress and super inconvenient high heels.
During our date, Colin was just as sweet and caring as I expected him to be. But weirdly, it didn't move me at all. Is it 'cause I'm too focused on keeping balance on these stupid high heels? Taya, do you want to be my prom date? If he'd asked me this a month ago, I would have leaped in joy and sung out yes. But right now, I just stood there, silent. I see. I really like this version of you, but your previous look might suit you better. You seem more comfortable and carefree around Finn. Oh, Finn. I didn't realize he has always been on my mind till now. I'd longed to be free of him, but now he's all I could seem to think about. Curious, I asked Colin why Finn didn't like him, and I finally found out the truth. Turns out, they used to be friends and were once on the basketball team together. Finn was the best player back then, but at one practice, he was doing a high jump when Colin also jumped to get the ball. They collided and Finn injured his knee, which ended his professional basketball dreams. Colin then became the star player. Meanwhile, Finn turned rebellious and had resented Colin ever since. Feeling guilty still, Colin was willing to suffer all the tormenting Finn had done to him. That's why Finn always caused you trouble. He still got me a makeover, though, to match your style and become a thing with you. Oh, that explains why you seem to be exactly my type. He knows me too well. But, Taya, you like Finn, right? If so, you should go and tell him. That hit me hard. Maybe I've been trying to deny it the whole time, but I really did feel the most comfortable around Finn, and I miss hanging out with him. But he seems to like someone soft and girly, like Mira. Guess you're gonna find it out for yourself. So I gathered all my courage and came to the skate park to find Finn. He saw me from afar. Hey, how was your date? You look the part. I didn't expect you to be back this early. I know about the secret between you and Colin, and how you lost your opportunity of becoming a professional basketball player. If my bestie hates him, I hate him too. Actually, I don't hate him. I just hate how useless I am. Don't talk about yourself like that. You know that you're really talented, right? You're the first guy I've met who can skate, paint, and, well, is good looking at the same time. Be more confident, will you? You know, no one's ever seen nice things like that in me before. But this doesn't matter, because you like Colin. I did like Colin, but we realized we're not actually a very good match. After an awkward silence, we both raised our voices at the same time. You go first. I'm listening. I think I like you. Well, that was I was about to say. Let me be your servant this time.
Hey guys, Milo here. Again, I'm going to share with you the final part of my awesome story, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. For those of you who are struggling to keep up, in the second part, I decided to make a move with Vanessa, despite knowing that she's the little sister of my horrible ex. And also, she was dating this thug, Kane. The only thing that matters is that she had feelings for me too. So I convinced Vanessa to dress sloppily so Kane would end it with her. Of course, my genius plan worked. Then we started dating officially. But I didn't want Vanessa to find out the truth about my past relationship with her sister. So I made up some ridiculous story to her about how I wasn't ready to face seeing her beloved sis yet, as she was the mean girl that had made my life a living hell back in middle school. Anyway, Kane found out about Lyanna being my ex, and now he's threatening to tell Vanessa everything unless I set him up on a date with my sister Kayla. I know, complicated, huh? I swear my life is just one big soap opera. Anyway, tuck luff, sis. Seems like you have a date with creepy Kane this Saturday. Okay, so the fact she already has a boyfriend makes things somewhat complicated. I guess there was only one thing for it. I just have to trick her into going on the date. So, Kayla loves singing. I mean, she's tone deaf, but she thinks she's Katy Perry or something. So I figured that the most logical way to trick her into meeting Kane was to come up with some story about a talent agent being interested in her. I told her that I had a friend who knew a talent agent, and this agent would just love to have dinner with her on Saturday and talk about her career. At first, she raised her eyebrow and said, as if. So I let out a long sigh, then replied, as much as it pains me to admit that you have talent, well, you do, so meet the agent, or don't, as if I care. I shrugged, then I walked off. I hadn't got far when she shouted after me, yeah, okay, I'll be there. Result, I knew that my sister wouldn't be able to resist the prospect of getting one up on me. It's a shame for her that this would never happen. Of course, I wasn't a complete jerk. Kane's a volatile idiot, so the least I could do was secretly follow her to make sure she was safe. I sat in the restaurant in my sunglasses, stick-on mustache, and baseball cap. Talk about the master of disguise. I should open up a spy business. Kayla was far too busy droning on about herself to notice me. She didn't seem to recognize Kane as being Vanessa's ex either. Probably because he'd actually washed his hair. And was that aftershave I could smell? I overheard her say to him, "So do you really think I can make it as a singer?" Kane looked confused, but he just shrugged and said, yeah, sure. Even though she wouldn't quit going on about her singing, he still continued to flirt with her. Lame things like he told her she looked pretty and stroked her arm. Ugh. At one point, Kayla started singing. Kane looked dumbfounded, and the waiter walking past actually covered his ears. It was so funny, even I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Then she must have had a light bulb moment about who he was, as she gave him a scrutinizing look, stood up, then said, "Wait a minute, yeah, excuse me? I need the bathroom." As she stormed across the room, I knew she was bailing. Oh no, if she did that, then Kane would tell Vanessa everything, and my life would be over. So I hurried after her and shouted her name. At first, she gave me a weird look, so I removed my sunglasses and fake mustache. She looked pretty mad. But I knew that I had to tell her all about how Kane was blackmailing me. I even managed to fake some tears. At first, she seemed furious and she shouted at me. A lot. But then she seemed to calm down and she smirked. Uh-oh. That smirk. Didn't look good. She told me, "Okay, I'll go back inside. But this means you have to do everything I say. All month." I didn't like the sound of this, but I had little choice. So I agreed. She went back inside and the date seemed to go well. The problem was now I didn't have to worry about Kane. Instead, I had to worry about my sister. Why do these situations happen to me? Has karma for messing with all those couples come back to bite me? I had to do all Kayla's chores, including staying home every weekend to babysit the kid next door. Ugh. Then I also had to message her actual boyfriend and apologize for the Valentine's prank I played on him. A reminder for you, it involved my super speed and a whole lot of duct tape. Things got weirder though, as Kane seemed totally smitten with my sister. He sent her flowers, then he sent her a giant teddy bear. And he even messaged me saying he wanted to assure me he would never hurt her. Okay, this was weird. It seems my sister had made the once thug-like Kane turn soft. Thing is, she binned his flowers, gave the teddy to the neighbor's kid, and well, made it clear she didn't like him. Wow, love can really mess someone up. Even someone like Kane. I guess he liked her coldness toward him. I suppose it's far more of a challenge than being with someone all kind and sweet like Vanessa. Kayla had started selling home-baked goods, cookies and things. They were tough, burned, and gross, but people seemed to buy them. So guess who she roped into playing delivery driver? Talk about lame. What made it even worse was I had a date with Vanessa one day. But no, now I had to deliver inedible biscuits. Being the smart guy I am, I found a way to get around this. So I picked Vanessa up from the library, then went off to make the deliveries. The plan was to drop them off as quickly as possible, then Vanessa and I could have date night. Vanessa didn't mind. In fact, she thought it was sweet that I was helping Kayla out. Ha! We got to the delivery address, and it was a nail salon. I left Vanessa in the car and rushed inside. Then I saw who the customer was, and oh my God. There standing in front of me was Lyanna. Talk about a shocker. I was so surprised that I actually dropped the delivery. I muttered out something about how my sister would reimburse her. Then I went to leave. She grabbed my arm and said she wanted to apologize to me properly for cheating on me. Now was not the time for this. Talk about awkward. I tried to yank my arm away, but she kept clinging to me. Then Vanessa suddenly walked in. I guess she must have seen us through the shop window. She yelled out, "Lyanna, what are you doing? Let him go. Stop being so mean. I didn't want to believe that you ever teased him back in middle school, but here's the proof." Lyanna looked confused as she replied, "What are you doing here? And what do you mean tease?" They yelled back and forth in confusion for a while until Lyanna blurted out, "He's my ex-boyfriend." Cue two furious women staring at me in anger, asking for an explanation. Now would be the perfect time for a UFO to come and abduct me, but no such luck. I had some explaining to do, so we went to the coffee shop next door, and I confessed that Lyanna was actually my ex. But I only found out about it after dating Vanessa, so I lied because I didn't know how to handle that awkward situation. I begged them for forgiveness. I was so scared. I was basically staring down at the table the whole time. But then suddenly, I heard giggles. Lyanna started to laugh and said, "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard." Oh my, Milo. Vanessa joined in. Okay, that makes sense, since he's the one who also came up with the ridiculous plan for me to break up with my ex by playing ugly. He really has a unique sense of solving problems. Okay, so I never thought they'd find any of this funny, but at least they're not mad at me. So in the end, I got a proper apology from Lyanna. We're cool now, and I can freely date Vanessa too. Turns out life is far simpler when you don't end up in a web of lies. As for Kane, well, he doesn't bother Vanessa anymore. Instead, he's still pining after my sister. I actually think he might have a chance with her, as she broke up with her boyfriend because that dude has been constantly bailing on her to hang out with his friends. Even though I've seen a different side to Kane, I don't know how I'd feel about having him as my actual brother-in-law one day. But yeah, I got the girl, so everything turned out pretty great. As for pranks, well, I can't rule out never doing the odd one or two in the future, but I promise to never mess with loved-up couples again. I've learned my lesson on that one.
Wow, this Florida beach resort was the epitome of luxury. Hi, I'm Dakota, the beloved and only daughter of Hardy Balmer, the world-renowned wine billionaire. But I don't know why. We have this huge fortune and Dad still makes me study and always rushes me to get a job. Well, no way that's gonna happen. So for now, let's just enjoy this gorgeous place and this finest wine, shall we? FYI, there isn't a wine brand in the world I haven't tasted. I can distinguish them all easily with just one sip. Chardonnay versus Riesling? Piece of cake. Let's see if there's anything interesting going on in the world.
Wait, what is this? There must be some mistake.
How can Daddy be bankrupt? I called him repeatedly, but all I got was the busy signal. Something's wrong. I rushed to the private helicopter to return to our mansion. What's happening? Why are those men carrying away our valuable furniture? The nanny Maria ran out to me in tears. She told me Daddy had disappeared and all he'd left behind was this wooden box. I rummaged through it, but only found some old notebooks and a certificate of ownership for a farm winery. Oh well, Dad may be bankrupt, but at least I still had this vineyard to live off. Let's go check out my newly acquired assets then. This place looks huge. I wonder how much money it made a month. I looked around and then wandered into an enormous wine cellar. Curious, I touched some wine barrels when suddenly someone's voice snapped at me.
Stay away from them. Who are you?
I'll have you know that I own this place, so I'll do whatever I want.
Have you lost your mind? Get out, now!
He suddenly grabbed my wrist and dragged me outside.
I furiously screamed and people started to gather around. Listen up, my name is Dakota, Hardy Balmer's daughter, and from now on, I'm in charge around here. I showed them the certificate of ownership as proof, but they didn't seem to care. Only an old-looking man came to shake my hand.
Welcome, Miss Balmer. I'm Jack, your father's long-standing companion. Come inside. My son James will show you around in a bit.
Okay, finally, someone showed some manners. Oh, I miss hanging out with my friends. I should have been at Fashion Week right now, not here in this lousy farm.
Get up, couch potato. We have a vineyard to visit.
Ugh, it's that rude guy again. It's too hot outside now. No way I'm making my way out there. So I shooed him away and continued staring at my phone. James then threw the stupid map of the winery at me and left.
Thank God, he finally left me alone.
After a week of lounging around and being waited on by Nanny Maria, I eventually longed for fresh air. Remembering the map James gave me, I decided to check out the place. First stop, the vineyard. Wow, it's so big! But why did they leave the soil so crackling dry? Let's see, where's the sprinkler?
There we go. But as soon as I turned it on, a scowling farmer ran over and immediately turned it off.
Hey, miss, this is not your toy.
What's the attitude? They're my employees, but have the cheek to act this snootily to me? Harvest this in 2 weeks. To keep the sweetness of the grapes, no one waters them. Why is this James guy everywhere? I'm the daughter of the wine billionaire. I didn't need any preaching on how to run my farm.
Days after that, I came to the farm to pluck up the grass,
Trim and fertilize the plants. But I kept getting shooed out. Those awful farmers were so disrespectful. Fine, I needed to show them who's the real boss here. That night, I asked Dad to gather everyone in the communal dining room and declared I would fire some of them for their disrespectful attitudes. But they just gave indifferent looks. How dare they? Didn't they know I could just sell this place and make them all homeless? But then Jack handed me a contract signed by my daddy, stating that due to the blood, sweat, and tears they'd all put into this place, no one has the right to fire them or sell the farm. Jack also gave me other documents. Seemed like due to my family's bankruptcy, the farm had not been doing well. If nothing changes, it might be dissolved. What? So the only property Dad left me was also on the verge of failing? I yelled at them,
then do something to sort it out, now!
Suddenly, everyone got up from their seats and glared at me with anger. My head was spinning around. Feeling panicked, I rushed outside. I sat by myself, hugging the wooden box Daddy left me in bewilderment. I flipped the notebooks and was surprised to find a letter in the bottom of the box, in which Dad told all about how from the day Mom passed away, he'd put all the effort into this farm and became a successful entrepreneur. I used to believe that compensating my time for work to provide you with a wealthy life would be enough. All this actually did was create a greater distance between us. My darling Dakota, I'm so sorry. My only hope is that you'll see as much beauty in this vineyard as I do. If only Dad was here now. How can I deal with all these troubles and challenges ahead? I burst into tears. They meant no harm. James' voice startled me. I quickly wiped away my tears. He sat beside me and offered a wine-spludged handkerchief. This isn't just some random farm for these people. It's also their home. Don't accuse them of not trying. This farm means far more to them than it does to you. I was just... This is when we should all stand together. Don't let your selfishness threaten the future of this whole winery and everyone involved. Even though I hated his guts, what he said did make sense. Maybe I had been neglectful of my responsibility for this place. If this winery was the most precious thing to my dad, then I want to put it right, for him. James smiled gently, putting his hand on my shoulder. That's settled then. We're all gonna revive this place. He then left after telling me to show up at the cellar at 5 a.m. the day after. The next morning, while walking around, James told me everything about temperature control and wine brewing. Growing up, Dad would always pass on this wine knowledge to me at the dinner table, and I actually remembered them. He even took me to his wine tasting sessions, and that's how he discovered I was gifted with a great sense of smell and taste buds. Even James was impressed with my talent and said I was born to work in this industry after letting me taste some samples. The next step in the process was much harder than I thought. It took me a whole day to memorize all the different varieties of grapes and how to sort them, but I still messed it up. How come there are so many ripe stages? I was frustrated and was about to leave when Karen, my instructor, called me back. You have to take it slow. Wine takes time and we have to be patient. Okay, fine. I'll try. As I was sorting, I got to chat with the workers, and it turned out they were quite friendly and even helped me out a lot. It was true that these workers really treated this place like their home and cherished it here. It had been more than 2 weeks, and I was harvesting the new crop with everyone. Thanks to the tips in Dad's notebook, with a pinch of my own creativity to it, James and I were in the process of creating a new line of wine. I was confident that this would help revive the winery. I was checking stuff in the cellar when James rushed in with a leaflet in his hand. Hey Dakota, this is our chance. Wow, so this town was hosting an upcoming wine festival. If our winery could win something, we could gain lots of orders for this season. The next morning, I prepared all the documents to register for the King of Wine contest. While waiting for the interview, I strolled through the showroom and tasted the previous winning wines. Wow, they all have unique tastes. Since I had my eyes closed to appreciate the wine layers, I bumped into a handsome guy and accidentally spilled red wine on his shirt. Oh, I'm sorry. No biggie. It's just a small stain. Oh my, he was such a gentleman, which made me feel even more guilty. I was about to ask for his contact so I could make it up for him later when the organizer called me for the interview. My eyes were just looking away from him for a sec, and he'd already gone. Anyway, it was a blessing the interview went well, and our winery was eligible for the contest. I decided to treat myself to a coffee before heading back. But at the counter, I realized I didn't have any money on me. Oh no. I forgot my wallet. I'll pay for that. Wait, it's him, the guy I spilled the wine on. Turns out he's Danny, and he might be young, but he's in fact a skilled wine critic who even held the position of vice president of the city's wine association. More surprisingly, he's a fan of my dad's and adores the wines he created. After chatting with him, I came back to the farm to tell everyone the good news. They were all very excited and started preparing for the competition right away. 2 weeks before the competition, the organizing committee sent over a few people to do some preliminary assessments. And guess what? Danny was also here, being a part of the inspection team. So, after the inspection, I invited Danny to stay and share some knowledge about wine brewing. And fortunately, he's free for a few days and was pleased to stick around. Yay! I excitedly told James the great news, but he responded with no interest. That's not exactly good news. Why? Oh, I see. You're jealous of him, aren't you? What? Me? Jealous? What does he even have for me to be envious about? Well, he's handsome and also exceedingly knowledgeable about wine. And people seem to like him. Wait, where are you going? I haven't finished. Whatever, no one needs him, as we have Danny here now. Such a charming gentleman. For the next 2 days, Danny kept trying to make time for me. Yes, just the two of us. Gosh, he's so romantic. I could spend hours with him. Dakota, you're the most special girl I've ever met. Hey, dinner time. Ugh, another would-be perfect moment ruined by James. He seemed to go out of his way to come between us. He sat in between us in the dining room, saying it was his favorite seat. Then, he followed us into the vineyard and said he was checking the quality of the grapes at 11 p.m. For real? Such a third wheel, and he's so cranky toward Danny. Hello, the guy's trying to help us here, so why the grumpy attitude? Later that night, I was passing by the kitchen when I overheard James and his dad. Should we start now? Definitely. The big day is coming up, or else we won't make it. Dakota is busy being all lovey-dovey with that jerk. She doesn't need to know this. What? Are they planning something behind my back? And then, something absolutely horrible happened the next day. When Danny and I arrived at the cellar to pick up the competition wine, we stepped into a sauna. What is this? Why is the wine cellar so hot? Someone must have tampered with the room temperature. I rushed to check the wine. Oh no, the heat had removed the last 2 notes and made it too sour. I fell to the ground and started sobbing. Danny tried to comfort me. He told me not to worry as he'd introduced some big clients to me, then he had to leave to prepare for the upcoming competition. I looked at the barrels in sorrow, but then remembered something. My dad also set the heat too high once and found a way to filter and ferment it again to tone down the sour flavor. I'm sure it's somewhere in the notes he left. I hurried back to my room to search through the wooden box, but I couldn't find it anywhere. Someone definitely was messing with me. Oh my god, who else could it be? The conversation between James and his dad came to mind, so I furiously went to look for him. Seeing James, I couldn't control my anger and shouted, "It's you, isn't it? You adjusted the wine cellar temperature. You stole my father's notebook. You've been planning to sabotage me for a long time, haven't you?" James acted confused, but before the snake could blurt out anything, I stopped him and said, "Get out of here, now!" He gave a defeated nod, then left without a word. Tomorrow is the day of the contest, yet I don't have any wine to enter. I picked up the letter my father left me and felt like a loser. Maybe I'm just not fit for this. Right at this moment, James pushed the door open. "Dakota, look! I told you to leave!" Ignoring my words, James calmly poured a glass of wine and told me to try it. Oh, this actually tastes pretty good.
It's the new wine you created. I stayed up a few nights and fixed its acrid taste. Now we can take it to the contest. I yelped out in joy, then lunged to hug a surprised-looking James. Look at his face, red as a tomato. But, remembering how sketchy he was in the kitchen the other night, I quickly let go of him and calmed down. First things first, we had to hit the road now to participate in the competition. Our wine stall attracted a lot of guests and got highly praised by all the judges. When Danny saw us, I noticed how surprised he seemed by my presence with this new wine.
I didn't expect the technique of filtration and fermentation could change the flavor so amazingly. You're really talented, Dakota. Let's take some time to discuss this in more detail later.
I happily agreed, but isn't that technique recorded in my dad's notebook? How did he know it? I left the bar and sneakily followed Danny. Then in a hidden corner, I overheard him talking to someone.
I've adjusted the cellar's heat to destroy everything, but who knew she'd use her father's technique to fix it? I've already taken the notebook away, but she probably remembered them all. Whatever the reason is, her wine is becoming a strong rival. My championship is at stake. Can you just do something?
So, have I been trusting the wrong person? Well, that hurts. But I'll sure make him pay for that. I quickly submitted the recording to the judges, and immediately there was an announcement to pause, and the wines were regraded by blind tasting to be fair. And you know what? The new wine I created won the third prize. Okay, so the prize money wasn't as grand, but it'd help us get a decent amount of orders for the next year's crop. I happily went to the podium to accept the award and almost fainted on stage because the awarder was no one other than my dad. I hugged him and sobbed uncontrollably. It turned out that my father was not bankrupt. He just donated all his assets to charity. His plan to pretend bankruptcy was just to help me become more independent and walk on my own feet. It's unbelievable, but I'm not mad at him for it. On the contrary, I feel very fortunate that my father did that to give me a chance to grow up. As for Danny, he was kicked out of the City Wine Association. That's the price to pay for his cattishness. He deserves it. And James, it turns out that the conversation between him and his father was just about fixing the wine, as the two of them discovered the spoiled wine way before I did. Now, the vineyard is my first career, just like it was my dad's. This place is my home, and the workers are my family. Yep, this even includes this cold, cranky guy.